All right, guys, welcome back to Driver's Therapy. Today we have a very, very interesting story. It has ups, it has downs, it has drama. So this is what happened. So about 5 years ago, we picked up the Supra, but when we bought the Supra, it had these wheels. Now, don't get me wrong, I was super excited to find a beautiful Supra. He didn't have the original wheels, and these are the wheels that came with it. On top of that, they had new tires. So fast forward today, and about a year ago, we went to Supras in Vegas, and it was a cool event. There were Supras from all over the US. And there was this Supra that looked really cool, and I started talking to the guy, and he was like, hey, let me see your Supra. So we walked over, and when he saw my Supra, he was like, wow, this thing's super clean. It's stock, it looks really good. But then he's like, hey man, you mind if I be honest with you? And I was like, sure. And out of love, not like meanness or anything, he's like, man, those wheels don't do the car justice. And I was like, I know, it's something I've wanted to change. So at that point, that finally put some fire in my butt to go look for some wheels. So then I was like, all right, the search begins. When I started searching, wheels for any cars is pretty much, it takes some research, but for Supras, there's so many different combinations. Like you're going to go staggered, you could go different offsets, you could get different whips, you could have an aggressive look. It's just, there's so many things you could do. So I finally narrowed it down that I wanted 18-inch wheels, I wanted staggered, and I didn't want to roll my fenders because I just didn't want to mess with a nice body that I like, and it's a clean car. So then that was my search. So then I jumped on to the regular sites that we all go to. I was on eBay, I was on the Supra forums, I went on the Facebook Supra for sale pages, I was on Craigslist, I was on OfferUp, Marketplace, just anywhere I could look for some wheels. And then at that point in time, what I was doing, I was like, let me price out some new wheels, right? Why not get some new wheels? So then I contacted CCW, I contacted Fishkin. I don't know if I pronounce, here, this is how you write it out. I just don't know how to pronounce it. And then I contacted BC Forge. People were really cool. They were like, this is the setup you could have. You could have like a custom color, custom everything. But then when they gave me the quotes were like $5,000 or about $4,000. It was just crazy. And that doesn't include tires, because when you throw tires in there, that's like another $1,000. So I was like, that's a lot to spend. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to look for some used wheels. So then I was like, all right, I want 18-inch wheels. I don't want to roll my fenders, and I want to buy used. So I started looking, and this is the crazy part. Every time I would find some for sale, like I'd sit there and I'd be like, oh, I think I want these. And then I'd think about it, and then I'd be like, all right, I'm going to do some research. And by the time I was doing research, they were sold. So I was like, holy moly, I have to know my stuff, and then I have to be ready to act. So I was like, all right, I'm going to be ready if there's some used wheels coming up. So then I was searching, and then I found this post on Craigslist, and it was for some Volk GTC wheels, and it was in New Jersey. And I was like, because the pictures on the ad were kind of sketchy a little bit, because it was like if somebody took a picture of their computer screen and posted it up. So I was like, I don't know. So I emailed the guy. The guy emailed me back, and he was an older gentleman, and I was like, that's pretty cool. And he was big into 300ZXs, and he was telling me all about his cars, and he was like, yeah, he's like, I could sell you my set of wheels from Volks. I didn't want to ship them, but I will. FYI though, there's one wheel that has a small bent part on it on the lip. And I was like, cool. I was like, it doesn't mess with the balancing. He's like, no. I was like, all right, no problem. He's like, let's do it. So I did all my due diligence. I asked for the pictures. I looked at the fronts, the backs, asked him questions. And then he had an eBay store, and he had a lot of good positive feedback. So I was like, all right, I've only had one time in the past decade or over a decade where anyone has scammed me. So I was like, you know what? I was like, I trust him. So I sent him over $1,600. Now it was $1,300 for the wheels and $300 for the shipping. So I was like, all right. So then I was excited. I was telling Elise, we're finally gonna get some wheels for the Supra. And yeah, so this is where the story gets a little crazy. So I'm waiting, I'm watching his tracking number, and the wheels arrive. So the wheels arrive. I go to Discount Tire. I order some Michelin Super Sports for them, and then I send them over to a reputable shop to put them on. I'm like super pumped up. So we showed up at the reputable tire shop, we unloaded him, and I told the guy, like, whenever they're ready, let me know. And he's like, yeah, they'll be done by noon. So I was like, yeah. So we got back in the car, we drove back, and I was hanging out at home. And then I got a phone call. So he called me and he's like, hey, David, he's like, I'm getting the wheels, I'm getting the tires mounted on the wheels and everything's looking good. But I was doing one of the front wheels and the machine's not, I'm having a hard time balancing it. It has some serious damage to it. And the first thing I thought was the wheel that was bent. So I was like, well, I'm gonna get in my car and go over there. So we drove over there, and when I got there, he was like, it's not the wheel that has the small bent part on it. It's actually the other front wheel, and this is what happened.
Okay. I guess it's the correct, it's the way that I would determine it. So stand over here.
Okay.
Watch it when it's spinning here. Like, watch the inside of the wheel.
Oh yeah.
See how rounded it is? It looks like it got curved pretty hard, and then it's asking for 275 over here and 5.5 on this right hand side. The other wheel that's curved on the outside, it only took 1.5 ounces total.
That's nothing.
So it's pretty good.
So yeah, the wheel was completely damaged. It looks like somebody hit a curb super fast. He tried static balancing it. He tried normal balancing it. He tried putting weights here, there, just wobble. So then I decided to take it to Discount Tire to see if they could road force it. And looking back, I could laugh about it, but they get the wheel right and they put it on the machine, and the machine's like, error, please put wheel on correctly. It was so damaged that the road force machine couldn't even start its process because it just wobbled so much, and the machine thought that it wasn't like locked in there. So I was like, well, the guys at Discount Tire are like, well, you could always try to go get it fixed. And I was like, well, I'll try to look into that. So then I went home, and to say I was bummed was like an understatement. I was like really, really down. I was just mad and down. So I contacted the guy, and of course he wasn't returning my phone calls and my texts. I'm like, well, so I talked to Elise, and I'm like, well, when we send him the money, we put the PayPal buyer's protection on there. And I was like, well, let's submit a claim. And I even decided to kind of, be level-headed and be fair about it. And since the other 3 wheels showed up in pretty decent shape, we just submitted a claim for $400, what we would try to do to replace the wheel if we can, because they're discontinued. So we submitted that claim, and we're like, all right, let's see what happens. So while we were waiting, I decided, once I got my head together, I was like, you know what? We live 3 hours away from Denver. Where I'm at, there's not a lot of specialty facilities that could do something like this. So I went on to Denver's Facebook page. It's a Denver car enthusiast page. And I put, hey guys, I told them the story, and I was like, do you know anyone that could help me? And they were spitting out names left and right, but there was a common denominator. They kept on saying one name. They're like, go to Woody's. I second Woody's. I third Woody's. I fourth Woody's. And I was like, I'm excited about Woody's. And so then I was like, ooh, so then I was super pumped up. So I got the phone and I called Woody's, and Woody's like, we might be able to fix it, but we can't promise anything. You'll just have to send it over. So I was like, oh, I might be able, I was excited. And right at that moment of excitement, Elise says, hey, David, we just got an email. PayPal just declined our claim. They said, nope, we're not helping you. So I was like, ooh, but then I was like, you know what? I was like, we still have the hope for Woody's. So that's where we're going to stop this video of a part 1, because the part 2 video is going to be about fixing a damaged wheel. And the reason why I want it to be separate video is because we want other people to, if they're in the same situation that I am, that they could fix their wheel. Because guys, my wheel was so bad. It was so bad. And this place, was able to accomplish something, but I'm going to keep those details for the next video. So you guys stay tuned for part 2, find out what happened, see how it all worked out, and see how good karma could beat up bad karma or bad people scamming you, and at the end of the day, come out okay. Well, thank you for watching Driver's Therapy, and we'll see you next time.